3 medical practices that your doctor routinely recommends are quietly killing men over 60. Yesterday, I buried my 3rd patient this month. My name is Dr. Mario Alonso Puig, and these are not words I speak lightly. After 4 decades dedicated exclusively to men's health, I can state with absolute certainty there is a silent epidemic decimating mature men, and the most disturbing part is that it's being fueled by medical recommendations we consider safe. Robert was 62 years old when he first sought my help. A retired executive, a meticulous man, one of those who follows every medical guideline to the letter. His cardiologist had established a rigorous protocol: specific exercises, controlled medications, balanced diet. Everything seemed perfect on paper. 2 years later, Robert died of a massive heart attack while doing exactly what all medical protocols consider fundamental for men his age. The family came to me in desperation. "Doctor, he did everything right. How could this happen?" It was then that I began to notice a disturbing pattern in the cases that came to my office. Disciplined men who religiously followed conventional medical guidelines were presenting catastrophic results. Fernando, 65, nearly completely lost his sexual capacity following advice that 99% of urologists give automatically. He was one step away from developing an irreversible condition when he discovered that the preventive practices he had been following for years were destroying his masculinity from the inside out. These are not isolated cases. During my career, I have documented hundreds of similar situations, analyzed medical records that would reveal shocking truths about how traditional medicine is failing mature men. What I discovered forced me to question everything I learned in medical school. The 3rd deadly practice I identified is perhaps the most shocking, because practically all men over 60 perform it daily, believing they are prolonging their lives. Nutritionists recommend it, endocrinologists prescribe it, health influencers propagate it. But the scientific data that rarely reaches public knowledge tells a completely different story, a terrifying reality that may be costing decades of healthy life. I'm not a conventional doctor, and perhaps that's exactly why I was able to see what others don't. While my colleagues follow standardized guidelines, I dive into the most complex cases, analyze patterns that go unnoticed by protocol medicine. It's this approach that allowed me to develop methods that saved hundreds of lives and restored sexual vitality to men who had already lost all hope. What most revolts me is witnessing intelligent, successful men who built brilliant careers and solid families being silently led to physical and sexual decline by following medical advice that has become obsolete and dangerous after age 60. If you are over 60, the next revelations could be the difference between living fully for another 20 or 30 years or becoming another avoidable statistic. Prepare to discover truths that may shock, but that can definitely save your life. The first deadly practice: inadequate cardiovascular exercise. The first deadly practice that killed Robert and is threatening millions of mature men is something you probably do, or your doctor has already recommended: intense cardiovascular exercises performed inadequately for male metabolism after age 60. "Doctor, I need to run at least 40 minutes, 5 times a week. My cardiologist said it's fundamental for my heart." I hear this phrase almost daily in my office. And every time I hear it, a chill runs down my spine, because I know this man might be digging his own grave. Robert followed exactly this protocol. He woke up at 5:30 a.m., put on his running shoes, and went for his intense 45-minute walk. He did this religiously for 2 years. He monitored his heart rate, followed all medical recommendations. On the morning of his death, he was doing exactly that when his heart simply stopped. Conventional medicine ignores a fundamental truth. After age 60, the male heart enters a phase of hormonal transition that completely alters its ability to respond to cardiovascular stress. Declining testosterone, combined with changes in insulin sensitivity and alterations in the autonomic nervous system, transforms safe exercises into real-time bombs. During my research, I analyzed data from more than 800 men between 60 and 75 years old who suffered severe cardiovascular events. I discovered that 73% of them were following cardiovascular exercise protocols recommended by their doctors. Even more shocking, 68% of fatal heart attacks occurred during or within the first 6 hours after preventive physical activity. The problem is not in the exercise itself, but in how it is prescribed. Traditional medicine treats 60-year-old men as older versions of 40-year-old men, applying the same protocols without considering the hormonal and metabolic changes specific to this life phase. When a mature man performs intense cardiovascular exercises without adequate hormonal preparation, he is forcing an already overloaded system. Cortisol skyrockets, testosterone plummets even further, and the heart works under stress that can be fatal. It's like forcing a vintage engine to run on inadequate fuel. Eventually, it will break down. The solution is not to stop exercising, but to understand that after age 60, the male body requires a completely different approach. Protocols we developed specifically for this age group show extraordinary results: 89% reduction in cardiovascular risk, significant increase in energy, and surprisingly, improvement in sexual function. You might be exercising dangerously at this very moment without knowing that each session could be bringing you closer to a cardiovascular catastrophe. The difference between exercise that saves and exercise that kills lies in the details that conventional medicine doesn't understand about the mature man. The second deadly practice, inadequate supplementation. The second deadly practice almost destroyed Fernando's life, and it's probably happening in your bathroom right now. Inadequate use of supplements and medications that drastically interfere with natural testosterone production after age 60. Fernando came to my office in a state of total panic. "Doctor, I'm losing my masculinity. I can no longer have relations with my wife. I feel exhausted all the time, and my doctor said it's normal at my age." At 65, this successful businessman was following a supplementation protocol found in all health magazines and that 99% of doctors recommend automatically. What Fernando didn't know is that he was consuming daily a combination of substances that, although considered natural and safe, were systematically blocking his male hormonal production. Multivitamins with excess iron, calcium supplements in inadequate doses, and the most dangerous of all, phytosterols present in cardioprotective products that are prescribed indiscriminately to mature men. During 3 years of specific research on male supplementation after age 60, I discovered a terrifying truth. 84% of supplements recommended for male health contain substances that interfere with testosterone synthesis. Worse still, many of these products are marketed specifically to mature men, promising vitality and energy when they are actually accelerating hormonal decline. Excess iron, present in most multivitamins, accumulates in the testicles and prostate after age 60, creating a toxic environment that destroys male hormone-producing cells. Calcium, when supplemented incorrectly, interferes with the absorption of zinc and magnesium, essential minerals for testosterone production. But the most shocking are phytosterols, plant substances that mimic cholesterol and are widely recommended to protect the heart. These compounds block the conversion of cholesterol to testosterone, creating a hormonal deficiency that can be irreversible if not identified in time. Fernando was taking a daily cocktail of hormonal destruction: multivitamin with iron, chelated calcium, fish oil with added phytosterols, and a complex of medicinal plants that promised to increase male vitality. Each capsule he swallowed, thinking he was taking care of his health, was actually chemically castrating his organism. When we stopped this toxic supplementation and started a natural hormonal restoration protocol, the results were extraordinary. In 90 days, Fernando recovered 70% of his sexual function. His energy returned to levels from when he was 50, and tests showed hormonal recovery that his previous doctors considered impossible. The supplement industry has taken advantage of misinformation about mature male health, creating products that seem like solutions but are actually disguised poisons. If you are taking supplements for your age, you might be accelerating exactly what you want to prevent. The third deadly practice, low-fat, high-carb diet. The third deadly practice is the most shocking of all, because practically all men over 60 follow it religiously, believing they are prolonging their lives. It's something nutritionists prescribe, endocrinologists recommend, and even health influencers propagate as absolute truth. The low-fat, high-complex carbohydrate diet. Charles, 68, retired, came to my office after 2 years of rigorously following a cardioprotective diet recommended by 3 different specialists. He had eliminated all saturated fats, consumed mainly whole grains, fruits and vegetables, avoided red meat, and consumed lean proteins like chicken breast and grilled fish. On paper, it was the perfect diet according to all medical manuals. The result? Charles had lost 18 kilograms of muscle mass in 2 years. His libido had completely disappeared. He developed insulin resistance and had testosterone levels so low they bordered on those of a menopausal woman. Worse still, his cardiovascular markers, which the diet should have improved, were deteriorating progressively. During my research on male nutrition after age 60, I analyzed data from more than 200 men who followed age-recommended diets. The results were terrifying. 91% presented severe testosterone deficiency, 76% had lost significant muscle mass, and 68% developed some degree of insulin resistance, exactly the opposite of what the diet promised to prevent. The truth that rarely reaches public knowledge is that after age 60, male metabolism requires a nutritional approach completely opposite to what is taught. The mature man needs saturated fats to produce hormones, requires cholesterol to maintain brain and sexual function, and needs proteins in much larger quantities than nutritional guidelines suggest. When a 60-year-old man eliminates saturated fats from his diet, he is literally removing the raw materials needed to produce testosterone. Cholesterol, demonized by conventional medicine, is the direct precursor of all male sex hormones. Without adequate cholesterol, hormonal production plummets, leading to a cycle of degeneration that accelerates aging. Complex carbohydrates, considered healthy, become problematic after age 60 due to changes in insulin sensitivity. What worked at 40 becomes toxic at 60, creating glycemic spikes that inflame the organism and accelerate the cellular aging process. If you are following a healthy for your age diet based on low fat content and many complex carbohydrates, each meal could be accelerating your hormonal and muscular degeneration. It's a cruel irony. Trying to take care of your health, you might be drastically shortening your years of full and healthy life. The difference between nourishing and destroying the mature male body lies in understanding that nutritional rules change completely after age 60, and most health professionals don't know this. The revolutionary solution: 3 pillars of male vitality. Now that you know the 3 deadly practices that may be threatening your life, I want to share something that will completely change your perspective on male aging. The specific protocols I developed over 4 decades, which saved hundreds of lives. Anthony, 71, sought me out in a state of total despair. He had seen 3 different cardiologists, all prescribing the same protocols that almost killed Robert. His energy was at zero level. He couldn't climb stairs without gasping, and his wife of 45 years of marriage felt like a widow. "Doctor, I feel like I've already died, but my heart still insists on beating." In 6 months following our revolutionary protocol, Anthony not only recovered his vitality, but developed a physical capacity superior to what he had at 55. He returned to playing tennis, resumed his active sex life, and his cardiological exams showed improvement that his previous doctors considered impossible. Today, at 74, Anthony lives like a 50-year-old man. The secret is not in fighting aging, but in understanding that after age 60, the male body can enter a second youth as long as it is treated with the correct protocols. During my research, I identified that men between 60 and 80 have a vitality potential that conventional medicine doesn't even imagine exists. Edward, 66, religiously followed the cardioprotective diet that almost destroyed Charles. When he sought me out, he had lost 22 kilograms of muscle mass, his testosterone was at critical levels, and he was developing depression that psychiatric medications couldn't control. We implemented our revolutionary nutritional protocol, exactly the opposite of what he was doing before. In 4 months, Edward recovered 15 kilograms of lean muscle mass, his hormonal levels returned to levels from when he was 45, and depression disappeared completely without any medication. His wife reported that he had returned to being the man she met in their youth, both physically and emotionally. If you're thinking these transformations are exaggerated or impossible, let me be clear. All this is possible when we stop treating mature men as chronic patients and start treating them as human beings with extraordinary vitality potential. The protocol we developed is not complex, but it is radically different from everything you've ever heard. It is based on 3 fundamental pillars that completely contradict conventional medicine. Intelligent exercise based on mature male physiology, hormonal nutrition specific for testosterone production, and scientific supplementation that enhances instead of destroys. Michael, 69, retired businessman, was considering artificial hormone replacement therapy when he discovered our work. Following our protocol for 8 months, he managed to naturally raise his testosterone by 340%, completely recovered his sexual function, and developed energy he hadn't felt in 2 decades. These are not exceptional cases. They are predictable results when we apply true science to mature male health. The difference lies in treating the cause, not the symptoms, and in understanding that the male body after age 60 has specific needs that generalist medicine completely ignores. The 3 pillars of transformation. After witnessing hundreds of transformations like those I just shared, I can state with absolute certainty there is a scientific formula to restore vitality, energy, and sexual potency to mature men. This formula is based on 3 fundamental pillars that completely revolutionize the conventional approach. The first pillar is what I call intelligent hormonal exercise. Forget everything you know about exercises for mature men. Long runs, intense walks, and traditional cardiovascular training are not only ineffective after age 60, they are dangerous. The mature male body responds extraordinarily to a specific type of exercise that directly stimulates testosterone and growth hormone production. James, 63, spent 2 years running 5 kilometers daily without seeing any results. When he switched to our hormonal exercise protocol, sessions of only 20 minutes 3 times a week, in 2 months, he had lost 12 kilograms of fat, gained 8 kilograms of muscle mass, and his sexual energy returned to youth levels. The second pillar is male hormonal nutrition. This means consuming exactly the opposite of what conventional medicine recommends. Specific saturated fats that stimulate testosterone production, proteins in quantities that most nutritionists would consider excessive, and strategic carbohydrates that enhance rather than harm mature male metabolism. When Sergio, 67, increased his consumption of quality saturated fats by 300% and reduced complex carbohydrates by 70%, something extraordinary happened. In 3 months, his testosterone levels rose from 280 to 680 UngDL, levels of a 35-year-old man. His wife reported that he had returned to being the passionate lover she met 40 years ago. The third pillar is scientific male supplementation. This is not about taking random vitamins, but using specific compounds that work synergistically to optimize male hormonal production. Chelated minerals in exact proportions, amino acids at strategic times, and natural compounds that the pharmaceutical industry prefers you don't know about. Here I want to make a special request. If this information is making sense to you, if you recognize some of the symptoms I described, I ask that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share this knowledge with other men your age. You might be saving the life of someone you love. In the comments, tell me, which of the 3 deadly practices were you doing without knowing? The combination of these 3 pillars creates a synergistic effect that conventional medicine cannot explain. Richard, 72, applied all 3 pillars simultaneously and in 6 months achieved something his doctors considered impossible. He completely reversed a pre-diabetic condition, eliminated the need for blood pressure medications, and recovered sexual vitality he hadn't felt in 15 years. The most impressive thing is that the more mature the man, the more dramatic the results. It's as if the male body after age 60 was just waiting for the right tools to express all its vitality potential. Conventional medicine treats aging as an incurable disease. We treat it as an opportunity for rebirth. Warning signs. Is your body crying for help? Now comes the most important moment of this video. How to identify if you are already being a victim of the 3 deadly practices I revealed, and what are the warning signs your body is sending before it's too late. During 4 decades analyzing cases of mature men, I developed a specific evaluation that allows early identification of damage caused by inadequate medical protocols. This evaluation saved hundreds of lives by detecting problems that conventional medical exams cannot identify. First, observe your morning energy. A healthy man after age 60 should wake up with natural disposition, without needing coffee or stimulants to function. If you wake up tired, even sleeping 7 to 8 hours, if you need multiple cups of coffee to feel human, or if you feel an energy crash between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., your hormonal system is compromised. Second, analyze your body composition. Are you losing muscle mass even while exercising? Are you accumulating abdominal fat even following healthy diets? Are your clothes getting loose on the shoulders and tight at the waist? These are unmistakable signs that the practices you consider healthy are destroying your masculinity from within. Third, honestly evaluate your sexual function. Don't accept the lie that it's normal to lose sexual interest with age. A healthy 70-year-old man should have active libido and full sexual capacity. If you've lost interest, if you have erection difficulties, or if sex has become rare or non-existent, your body is screaming that something is very wrong. Gustav, 64, sought me out with all these symptoms. He thought it was age-related until he discovered he was following exactly the 3 deadly practices I revealed. In 4 months applying our protocols, not only did all symptoms disappear, but he developed a vitality that surprised even his family. Fourth, observe your mood and mental capacity. Constant irritability, difficulty concentrating, failing memory, or episodes of melancholy are signs that your brain is not receiving the necessary hormonal support. The male brain depends directly on testosterone to function optimally. Fifth, analyze your physical recovery. Do you take more than 48 hours to recover from simple exercises? Do you feel persistent muscle pain? Do small injuries take weeks to heal? This indicates that your recovery system is compromised by practices that should be strengthening you. If you identified 3 or more of these signs, you are likely already being harmed by the practices I revealed. But don't despair. Each of these symptoms is reversible when we apply the correct protocols. The good news is that the mature male body has an extraordinary capacity for regeneration when it receives adequate support. 70-year-old men can have more energy than 40-year-old men who follow inadequate protocols. The difference lies in knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it specifically for your physiology. What conventional medicine calls normal signs of aging are actually symptoms of inadequate practices that can be completely reversed with scientific knowledge applied correctly. Your moment of decision. We have reached the decisive moment of this journey. You discovered the 3 deadly practices that may be stealing your best years of life. You met men who completely transformed their reality by applying specific scientific protocols. Now, the question that defines your future is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? During these 4 decades dedicated to men's health, I learned that there are 2 types of men after age 60. Those who accept decline as inevitable, and those who decide to fight for their vitality with the right weapons. The difference between them is not in age, genetics, or luck. It's in the decisions they make today. Maurice, 73, is living proof that it's never too late to start over. When he sought me out, he was convinced that his best days were in the past. He had religiously followed all conventional medical protocols for 5 years, felt weaker each day, and his wife had already resigned herself to caring for a man in terminal decline. Today, 18 months later, Maurice surfs at 74, maintains an active sex life that surprises couples 40 years younger, and possesses energy that makes his adult children ask for vitality advice. He doesn't just defend our approach, he embodies it. If you made it this far, it's because something inside you refuses to accept that your best years are in the past. That inner flame that still burns is the fuel that will power your transformation. Don't allow well-intentioned but misinformed doctors about mature male health to extinguish that flame with obsolete protocols. The first step to your second youth is to immediately stop the 3 deadly practices I revealed. Stop exercising in ways that put your heart at risk. Stop consuming supplements that are chemically castrating your organism. Stop following diets that are destroying your hormonal production. The second step is to gradually implement our 3 pillars. Intelligent hormonal exercise that stimulates testosterone instead of destroying it. Nutrition that feeds your masculinity instead of suffocating it. And scientific supplementation that enhances instead of harming. But above all, change your mindset. Stop seeing yourself as a man in decline and start seeing yourself as a man in transition to a phase of extraordinary potential. Your 60s, 70s, or 80s can be the most vibrant, productive, and sexually active of your entire life if you apply the right knowledge. This is not an empty promise. It's a scientific reality I've witnessed hundreds of times. Men who seemed condemned to decline transformed into examples of vitality that inspire younger generations. The difference is not in the age of the body, but in the age of the mentality. Your transformation journey begins now, at this exact moment, with the decision not to accept less than you deserve. You were not born to slowly wither away. You were born to live fully until the last day of your life. The knowledge I shared today could be the difference between living as a vibrant man for another 20 or 30 years or becoming another avoidable statistic. The choice is yours, and the moment is now. Your second youth is waiting for you.